Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Uh, just okay. I hope I'm audible. I hope you can hear me. And if you can hear me, please just type a one on the comment box. Just want to make sure I'm audible. No, I don't want to be speaking to myself. Yeah. So we have one viewer. That's good. That's good. Yeah, one is better than nothing. And ladies and gentlemen, today we'll be having a very important conversation. We'll be talking about education in the Pan-African conglomerate in a nutshell, and we'll be talking about education in Africa for the most part. So we're actually updating our manifesto so that we can share and sell our ideology to people so that they can buy into our ideology and they become part of the Pan-African Alliance. So today is going to be a really great conversation. We try to keep it on topic and we try to keep it short and just to the point. Please, if you can hear me, can you just put a one? Just want to make sure I'm audible. Yeah, so thank you everyone. I'm Kifaru and welcome to the Pan-African Alliance. And so we're going to start this show with the quote of the day. I thought it was better, it's just a little idea so I can come with a quote of the day that might inspire some young Africans, to get into politics because at the end of the day, that's what we want. We want to encourage young Africans to get into politics because we really believe the continent belongs to them and they should be the one to make the decision for your future. So that's the work of that's the goal of the Pan-African Alliance, and we think we can really do that. So please, if you can hear me, yeah, okay, that's very good. Thank you, African Millennia. Thank you for coming. And today, the quote of the day is going to be from Walter Rodney, How Europe Underdeveloped Africa. And he says, not only are they African accomplices inside the imperial system, but every African has the responsibility to understand the system and work to overthrow and work for its overthrow. That's Walter Rodney. So how Europe underdeveloped Africa. Okay, so before I start, I just want to go on the rundown of the Pan African Alliance. We did some show before we get into the meat and potatoes of this whole stream. I just want to run just a show, just a recap on our agenda. I just went up and make this little slide. I did it some time ago, but just want to go ahead, just go on a rundown about it. Yeah, so that's Pan African one on one. And so that's our overview, the Pan African Alliance. We're trying to create a conglomerate of political parties spreading all around Africa. Maybe, yeah, that's, I just want to run over it. So that's the overview. And the structure, I told you guys about the structure. You've got the society, you've got the core, you've got the public, and you've got the militants, and we'll be explaining all what this means in depth in the subsequent live stream. And our objective, the party objective, build a new political platform for African politics, encourage and bringing young people into politics, reestablishing African pride and Pan-Africanism, working together as a conglomerate. So that's just some of I said this last time, and so the people we're targeting university students, civil society, law enforcement, business people, local community, villagers, and even politicians and military officials as well. And yeah, so we just did some rundown of understanding the African political system. We came to the conclusion that in Africa we've got two kind of politicians. We've got the opportunists and we've got the colonial enforcers. The opportunists, they just believe Africa politics is a cash in hand job. They don't oppose the ruling party. Uh, they worship the president even if they know they're wrong. And the pay allegiance and the colonial governors, they're the ones that actually pay allegiance to the colonizers, and they are colonial integrationists. And these just some problems that that are really really prevalent in Africa. You've got the corruption, nepotism, and tribalism, and we are going to have really really we're going to have some strategy how we can fight this, because this is one of the main things that's holding us down. And so this is just a rundown of what I said. So I was just doing some comparison, corruption index, from Statista. This data company, so they have actual data, not some YouTube, Facebook search. This was just comparing corruption in Cameroon and Nigeria over the years. So you could see in some parts they were really, really down, and in some parts they were up. So we were going to learn from what was going on, that the corruption index was really down, and so we can learn something from there. And so what do we intend to do? So we intend to create a timeline. Now we intend to create awareness first, and we create political parties all across the PAA conglomerates. Then we go live. Our plan is we rule each country. That's our dream. If we can have militants of PAA ruling African countries, we can work together as a conglomerate, because of course we're going to have the same constitution across each country. So that is the timeline. So we're going to work towards our goals. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, today this is the topic of the day: education in Pan-African states. Okay, so we'll be discussing education. How can we make the education in this Pan-African conglomerate better? You know, how can we make it smarter and better than actual what's going on? So, what's the kind of problems? What are the problems that we're facing in Africa today? So, what can we learn? What have we learned? From being abroad and from being in Africa. what actually have we learned. So we're going to try to see how we can actually form and morph this educational structure that is going to benefit us. Because as we know, the educational system that we still practice in Africa, if you don't know, was being entrusted to us by the colonizers. You know, we are being educated to fit their market. We've been educated so that we can go and get some job in some international organizations. They actually groom us. They actually tell us what we need to learn. They give us their book because at the end of the day, they want us to fill their market. We don't really have an educational system on our own, and this has been like that for a really really long time, and we don't even notice it. You know, even the new and the new educational institution that are coming to Africa are still controlled by some Western countries. You know, they have these fancy names. We have the popular one, African Leadership Institute. If you go and try to do some research on the African Union, African Leadership Institute, it's just some European standard. You know, we all want to work and uh, and leave for Europe. You know, want to leave Africa and go to Europe. You know, that's just the educational system. So what are we doing? What are we doing wrong? So how can we create an educational institution that's going to work for us? That's going to actually make us build Africa. And so that's what we'll be discussing today. So I really wish that people can call in and share their thoughts, and I have some slides of things I'm going to show so we can actually update this manifesto, because you don't know, people, a lot of people are calling and asking when is the manifesto ready. So you guys don't even know how many people reaching and writing, and they really want to see this uh, work. So I just have this little video to play. It's about this Uganda guy. I want you to listen to what he said. Let me share this. Okay, let me share, and I want you to listen to him. You know, so this mindset is actually the mindset of most Africans. We just want to study and live because we have been told, we have been fed that we need to live when we finish our studies. Because, as I said, the system, the educational system, is to feed us, is for us to feed the European market. It's not actually to build a country. So we need to try to reverse that kind of mindset and make a educational institution that's gonna work for us. So listen to him, and so you get a little understanding of what I'm trying to say.
Countries that entered middle income nations, they had 2.5% of their workforce within science, technology, engineering, and mathematics education. Tanzania has 0.3% of the workforce within STEM fields. So we're missing out a huge opportunity.
Hello, forehead warrior. That's good. Good to meet you.
My name
Welcome.
is Rudiko Edward, medical doctor and a PhD scientist. I'm the co-founder of Project Inspire, and we inspire to build the first Disneyland for science in Africa. I was born in Tanzania, in Dar es Salaam, actually, and we had a very beautiful growing environment with my siblings. When I finished my first degree in medicine, I was thinking I need to get out of this country and get more exposure, apart from just seeing the things in TV and
Okay, exactly. So you see, there's the idea. So when he had his first degree, like most Africans, I need to get out of this country. That's what we think. You won't blame them because, as I said, we have been taught to fit the European market. That's what all the books, all the curriculum is for us to be good in such a way that we can be employed in this European institution. And he said that himself. So it's not uncommon. Most people do like that because we don't have a system that tells us, that employs us, teaches us how to be African and be proud of African and actually develop our own nation. Let's continue.
applied for a scholarship, direct entry from MD to go to a PhD at Uppsala University in Sweden. So I spent 5 years of my life around it. When I left the country to Sweden, I was interested to see what life has to offer out there. And I had thoughts of staying, but before I left, I had already started Project Inspire. And that is one thing that's really, really was driving me to come back and say, okay, I'm going outside to gather as much as I can so that when I come back, I'm as useful as I can be.
Okay.
I had one huge culture shock in Sweden. So there's this moment where people invited me for lunch. So we went all the way to the cafeteria and people opened up the bags and put the lunch boxes on front. I was like, I don't have that. In our cultural context, I tell, let's go for lunch. I invite you, right? So that means I cover for that stuff. During my last few months, when I was doing my thesis, that's when Corona hit. There was a lot of isolation and, the worry. I'm, all this way far. I locking myself.
Yeah, actually, he's a PhD scientist. We need them PhD scientists. That experience that he's got learning, studied abroad. We need to bring that experience back to Africa. And teach all this idiots. Sorry for using that word. And so we we need experience of people like this. Let's continue.
Writing, yes, but still worried about home, what's happening in my family. And also I had already an engagement with the university, Muhimbili, as an academician there. So I was like, this is even greater, more reasons to come back home and contribute meaningfully from the experiences I've learned.
Yeah, that's the idea. Come back home and contribute from the experiences I've learned. So that's the thing we want. So we want to get people like this. We can come together and actually build a robust educational institution amongst the PAA member states, so that the education that we have will be used to develop our member state.
The question of the importance of science, technology, engineering, mathematics, like STEM in an African context, is that science, technology, engineering, math is the one that has progressed humanity so far.
Yep.
And Africa as a continent has a lot of opportunities to capture and leapfrog to success that other countries have. I've been Tanzanian born, raised, and educated at least to my first degree in medicine. And I've gone through public schools and I've gone through private schools. So I have a good taste of both worlds. And being in the diaspora opened up my mind in terms of, okay, it could be better. And then it became a personal mission to give this experience that I didn't get growing up in an academic situation to young people who need to have that. So to me, it's more personal. One of the major things that I learned is I did not know much about myself. And this experience of coming back, change of environment, and the work I do has really taught me much about what I can do.
All right, so that's fine. I think
in Project Inspire we have
let him finish.
Major programs. One is for kids who are coming up 3 years to 14 years. The second main project is to package these experiences that kids have in projects in science kits. And the third last project is with secondary school kids. And this is we're doing boot camps every year. We throw them problems. Let's say outbreak of cholera. How can you use science, technology, engineering, math to solve that? And they pull practical knowledge to make sure that what they learn makes sense. My advice to other diaspora in other continents, in the US, Sweden, wherever, there's a lot of room for growth and relevance in our continent. And we are the only ones who are going to capture it. We should do it. We should come back and grow this continent, leapfrog,
Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much. So I think there's no doubt about that we Africans are the only ones who can come and build this continent. So I just want us to say, the Finland educational system actually is rated the best in the world. what can we learn from them? How can we harness, their curriculum and try to shuffle it, customize it to fit to serve. So we're gonna see all these things, and we're gonna get into the solutions on how we're gonna structure actually education in the Pan African Alliance member state, and so we can actually the education we have can actually benefit us, not just making us ready to work in the West. So let's see this one. Let's this Finland.
It's 8 a.m. on a cold morning in the suburbs of Helsinki, and these primary school children are getting ready for class. This morning's lesson, ancient history.
Well, they are reading with theirs some text about Egyptian ancient life. They are reading, and then I'm going to ask something. What did they find out from the book? I think we all are ready now.
This is
Just to say something, I don't know if the education system in Africa now has changed, but when I was growing up, studying like this was prohibited. People had to sit on your various decks. You don't need to see what your friend is doing. And it has been proven that that's a really bad way of education. Education is collaboration, and life in general is collaboration. So if you're going to work, you have to collaborate. So putting people, isolating children in the classroom has never been beneficial. But I just hope in Africa, things like that have been dealt with, and they encourage some more collaborations. Let's
a
continue.
school system that for years has been among the world's best.
Okay.
And then what about this gold one? Yes, Minttu, please.
Ja miehetkin molemmat on käyttänyt meikkiä.
And yet these kids will spend half as much time in a classroom as Australian children.
When you go to the first
Okay.
grade, when you are 7 years old,
So actually, they study the best, but they study less. So we can actually learn something from here. The study is less as most, less time as most educational institution, but they are rated the best. How is that possible? We're going to find out, and maybe it's something we can learn and try to institute that in our own scenario.
the amount of hours is 20 hours a week. It's the minimum. And then it gets more hours the older you get, but it's still less than in many countries in Europe or in the world.
In Finland, it's individual teachers who decide how the curriculum is taught, including how much technology should feature in their classrooms.
That is smart. So the teachers, they actually decide their curriculum. So they don't have a general curriculum that you just need to implement, just like robots, like one curriculum for everyone. I think that is a dumb way of managing education because people don't really think the same. So the idea that the teachers are the ones deciding everything in your classroom makes it work better because actually they understand the children, the pupils, and they know what's best for them. Yeah, so that's something to note.
Me tehdään sellaista pyramidiprojektia, missä nyt me kirjoitetaan hieroglyfeillä meidän nimet paperille ja sitten me tehdään classroomista tehtäviä.
11-year-old Mintu Latomaki asks to leave class to work at the school's own student-run cafe.
You can go. Yeah, that's okay.
Wow. So actually, a child can leave the classroom and go work in the school cafeteria or restaurant, whatever. That is so cool. So to make them feel like really at ease, make them feel homely, accepted. I think a school should be a place where children should like to go. Not going to a place that they think is like a prison. So we're gonna share some data to see how many Africans, young people of this age, are running away from school, and we're gonna see what's the reason for that, and we see if we can fix it. So let's continue watching. Oh,
Hello. One cake for the cameraman, one cake for me, and 2 coffees. How much is it?
€3 and 60 cents.
okay. You see this? This is a skills right there. At a young age, she can manage a bar already. So you don't need to finish school, then you go learn how to be a barista. I think why they're considered the most advanced educational system in the world is for little things like this that really makes a difference. Let's just continue watching.
How much change?
€2 and 40 cents.
Pesos. Perfect. Is there a tip jar? Do you have tips?
No.
No tips. Okay. In Finland, school lunches, like books and excursions, are free. The kids select what they want, sit down with their friends and teachers to eat before they clean up after themselves. The children rug up again to play outside. Some play a raucous version of soccer, some play basketball, while others wait for the hockey rink to open.
Okay.
There are plenty of options for bad weather days too. The facilities in this school are just amazing. Outside, we saw an ice skating rink, and in here, where the kids can play at lunchtime, there's a ping pong table, a pool table, and in here, for the cold winter days, they've got a room full of beanbags and couches, and there's even a PlayStation in the corner. It seems like it's such a rich school. You must get...
Yeah, a PlayStation at the corner in the school, well, this is just so amazing. So the certain things that they do, and it has proven that it works. And so we can copy, we're going to see the possibilities of us copying a system like this if we can actually implement it. And what is the reason? Why can't we implement it? What's the reason? And things like that. Let's keep watching. So the guy asks him, you must be a very rich school to have all these facilities, doing all these things for these people. Let's listen to what he said.
Get more money than other schools.
No, we don't. It's same money for everyone.
You see, they have the same money for everyone. So why are they doing better than other schools?
Actually, they take and borrow books.
In Finland, schools are not allowed to raise private funds or to charge fees from parents.
Oh, did you hear that? Schools are not allowed to raise private funds or to charge fees from parents. That is a good one.
All schools are equitably funded from taxation.
And in our system, everything is free for the students, actually. We don't collect any money from the parents.
We want our schools to be equal and have the equal opportunities to arrange the education. So therefore, also the finance system need to be equal and treat equally all the schools.
Ja sitten tuossa tulee 16.
Mintu Latomaki's older brother Levi is in year 7, and this afternoon he's got maths.
We have like the last chapter before we have the next exam.
Okay.
There are regular exams in Finland, but the results of these tests are not published and shared.
We have national tests, but the big difference is we don't compare schools that this is not good school, this is bad school.
Okay.
We just use the information that we evaluate ourselves.
But perhaps the single biggest difference in Finnish education is the standard of teaching. Levi's maths teacher, Una Arnes, speaks 5 languages and has...
Okay, yeah, I think I have a little note. We're gonna talk about the standards of teachers, because in where I had my education, I think if I had to rate those teachers today, they were not qualified to be teachers, but maybe there was just a shortage or there was lack of education for the teachers themselves. And that's why they were really poor. If you have a teacher that does not understand how to teach, so no matter how smart you are, you're going to find it really difficult. So let's say how they managed to have good teachers. So let's see what they say.
has postgraduate qualifications.
So every one of us, we have to have a master's degree
Okay.
to be teachers. So like, for example, me, I'm math and chemistry and physics teacher.
Yeah, I think that makes the big difference. You know, if you need to have a master degrees to be able to teach, this should be like school children. That makes sense because your mastery of what you're supposed to teach. So challenges, and you will be able to resolve them. Yeah, I think that makes sense. That's something, and we need to take down as well.
In Finland, a career as a teacher is highly sought after.
To enter the studies in university, actually, it's really hard. They take something like 10% to study teaching. If you really want to be a teacher, it can't be your second or third, or I don't know what kind of option.
Exactly. So, like in most African countries, people just throw themselves into teaching because maybe it's an easy way to get into public service. You know, easy money. You know, you might not like it, but you want to be part of it. And but in Finland, they're taken care of. So if you're getting into teaching, you're a teacher for life, basically.
It has to be your first.
I believe that they know what is the best for our children. I'm not a teacher, I don't have that education, so we don't interfere their work.
In Finland, there's little anxiety about finding the right school for your child.
We trust that they have very good school, so we don't need to do any research work or...
I think that is not a question
No,
in
no.
Finland.
Finland is a vastly different country with a tiny, homogenous society. But its education success must surely offer some lessons for Australia.
I would like to say that try to build the system that you trust the people.
And it's
Okay, thank you. You need to build a system that you trust the people, not take it.
investment in teachers seems an obvious place to begin.
The society respects the teachers. It means also the parents respect the teachers and they don't question the teachers. And that's in Finland a really huge thing.
Okay, that was a good one. So just let me come back here. Yeah, so we'll be talking about the education in our own system, you know, so we can learn. So I really want you, thank you, Abibi. Thank you for coming. You're not late, it's all right, you know. I had company with Forehead, African Millennia, African Power. So we've been talking just about education, you know, what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, how can we actually use the experiences, you know, in the world, you know, actually build our educational system that works for us. You know, as I said earlier, our educational system in Africa is for us, is to train us so that we can be valuable to the Western world. They don't train us to do anything, you know. They give us their book, they give us their curriculum. I don't know about some other countries. Like in my country, we actually have a French curriculum. It's like the French curriculum. They give us their curriculum and we need to follow. Maybe we might customize it a little bit, you know, just to fit our own little history. But the maths, the chemistry, the physics, everything, we'd have to follow their curriculum. So they're actually preparing us for their own market. And that is a problem. So that's why when people graduate, the first thing, oh, I'm writing this exam, I'm going to the West. So we've listened to that guy. And so we're going to talk about education. Yeah. So let me move further. So this is like education, okay? How do you guys think we can actually structure education in these various categories? You know, the early years, the school, the adults and research. So the idea is most of in Finland, I'm just using that as a case study. They actually trying to have free education. So is free education attainable? Can we actually attain free education? You know, at what age is it really good for people to come in school? So what should children be learning? You know, I heard someone said, I don't know, is it in Nigeria? They said they have to take away history of the curriculum. I don't know if that's a good idea. I don't know what kind of history. Are they taking their own country's history? out of the curriculum or international history, and someone says it's because they say their history is so bloody. I don't want to believe. I don't want to believe that actually because your history is so bloody, you're taking it out of a curriculum. I know sometimes people just say what they don't understand. You can't take out history because it's bloody. Some people they always keep the history so that you can learn. So the infants, the kindergarten, how can we really structure that? What is the best way of teaching these children? We're gonna come into that, and the quality of the teachers is what we learned from that little video that the girl was saying. The teachers need to be really, really equipped. Yeah, what did Abby say? If your government focuses its budget on free education, it's possible. Definitely, Abby, definitely, because education, I think, to me, like the infant, maybe infant, the infant one cannot be free like the really kindergarten, because young people, like babies, they need a lot of, feeding, a lot of care. You need some extra stuff. It'll be like, I don't know. I think it'll be a little bit difficult for that school to be, the kindergarten to be free. They require a lot of resources. They're just like babies. But I think for school, the teenagers, education should be free. Education should not be should not be, I don't know, that big sum of money that actually taking their children out of like taking the whole income out of parents pocket. Education should be something that's actually free, for the most part, or like pay really minimum. I think some African countries are trying to do that, trying to see how they can really make education free. And yeah, so free education, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how it is possible and what parts, what can we really take from what section to make education free, because education is actually the basic, and we need the right curriculum, and we need to actually encouraging people to get into education. And again, we're talking about like adult what targeted learning. Some people actually believe going to the university and just studying I don't know, some kind of history or whatever, then you leave. Then when you go to the West, you start studying nursing, or something that had nothing, you had nothing, that has nothing in common with what you study in school. We all do that. Most Africans, when they come to the West, they just blank, because, oh, what did I do? What you did has no like, basically has no use. And yeah, so that's one thing. And research institute, I think that's the biggest one, because I was doing my research. When you do research, you see like Europeans, they do have research research organization. It's a joint research organization. Okay, you can see European Institute of this, European Institute of that, but Africa, there's nothing. The one I saw was still what's it called? Is it called Africa Grant something? No, I think there's this one. Uh, Let me try to share this one. Yeah, it's a grant award, whatever, and behold, it is still sponsored by the EU. So they always try to go ahead of us, trying to tell us, put us on the rail, to like put it on the rail to follow. To make us really feel the end goal is for you to come and work for these European countries. Yeah. So again, and yeah. So what's the yeah? So I talk about the International Institute, research centers, research facilities. So let's go back here, and yeah. So actually, it came into notice that there's really issues, on Africa education. So this is actual data from Statista. It's a data company, and that's what they say. Was that share of poorest children not attending school in selected African countries as of 2022 Well, Mali, a vast 90 was at 98% or 76%. You can actually see children were not attending school. It's really, really big. So why are these children not attending school? Is it because school is actually expensive? Or is it because they don't feel motivated? We don't know. We're going to find out. And so if we have a big population of young people who are not attending school, then that's an issue. I think for the most part is due to I don't know, maybe poverty. The schools may be actually more expensive for the parents. So if we can actually make education free for a certain age group or certain school level, that is actually going to be beneficial. And again, on the right, you can see children out of school in Africa. You know, that's Niger, 1.4 million. Taking into consideration that is a small country. You've got Tanzania, 1.43 million. Mali, you know, South Africa, children that are out of school, that they should be in school, you know, Burkina Faso, Chad, Senegal, Cameroon, Eritrea, Cote d'Ivoire. I think the list goes on. So that's an issue. So I think most of the biggest issue is maybe due to poverty or accessibility, you know, accessibility or whatever. Yeah. How can free school be expensive? No, we're not saying like free school can be so expensive. We're just saying now there are no free schools. So I think that's the main reason these children are staying out of school, and there's no motivation, you know, for these children to go to school. So actually, education needs to actually be looked into and be dealt with. So that's fine. Okay, yeah. So these are the kind of things like we call school in Africa. To me, this is not a school. You know, if you have a classroom like this, I will not be going to the school. You know, maybe people would like to go to church because the church is going to look beautiful than them. The church is going to be like more attractive than this classroom. I don't think this is poverty. This is negligence. You know, something like this is just negligence. There's no way someone that's been to school, you know, that has importance of education is going to create a classroom like this one, you know, and actually feel they've created the school. I think there's no reason, you know, even in remote areas, schools should be of a certain standard so that young people may be able, when they see that building, they want to be part of it. But if you just build like, was that mud bricks and force people, you know, to get into education, it's not going to be really, really, they're not going to like it. So there are quite a good number of them. And look at this. How can you call this a school? You know, how can you call this a school? This is not poverty. This is negligence. And I think this is some of the reason that young people don't go to school. If you call this a school, if you call this a school, you don't expect people, young people, to go to schools like this. You know, if I was a young child and you tell me to go to a school like this one, I'm gonna be honest. I don't think I would like going to school. I'll try to go somewhere else, maybe to church, as I said, because the church at least they have good buildings, you know, things like this. This is a disgrace in Africa. We should not be seeing pictures like this. Okay, this is not a school. It doesn't matter how remote the village is. These people they have uh, I'm a politician, you know, people that are in charge of these constituencies to actually build school for areas like this, but corruption or they don't care, whatever. And yeah, so yeah, there's another one. Yeah, this is another one. A school, you can't have a school like this and you expect children to be part of it. So I think education is actually really, 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 really important. And I think we in the Pan African Alliance, we're going to take education really, really important. Now we're going to see how actually we can like upgrade the educational system in Africa, you know. So numbers like this, uh, we don't need to see numbers like this, you know. I think this is just a will. This is just willpower because children actually love going to school. there's really, really few kids that don't actually love going to school. They actually do love going to school. So if they're staying out of school, then there's something wrong with the system. And I think that's something we need to actually look into, because those children are actually the future of tomorrow. And anything other than that, it is not. It is not actually welcome. Yeah. So I was thinking, people to call and give your opinion, but I think that is not yet. So that's okay. So I was trying to go to some other thing, but yeah, I was trying to go to that later, but I think I'll just go into it now. Actually, I was talking to one guy, because actually we're trying to create the first branch of the Pan African Alliance in Cameroon. So actually, I was talking to an actual politician, a friend, someone I know really, really well, and he actually created a political party, and he's been doing his own thing, So I'm going to bring him on this show one day, and he's actually going to tell us, he's my good friend, he's a businessman, and I just want to go to his slide. Yeah. So this is actually Mr. Folegalang. Yeah, he's Cameroonian. He's a really nice working man. I spoke to him about the PAA. And yeah, he's a friend, simple guy, hardworking. He's got his own business, but he's a politician. And this is actually a political party. So I spoke to him about the PAA. We had a nice conversation. And there was the possibility that he can actually change Cameroon Reformation Party to the Pan-African Alliance. So we're trying to make that deal if we can buy it off. So we actually need to tell him our principles, what you're looking for, and what we intend to do with the PAA. So it has been a really, really important conversation with him. So he's gonna come on this show, and he's actually gonna encourage people how to create political parties in your own country. There's nothing really difficult. It's just the will. It's just the will. So creating a political party is not a will. It's just a will. Sorry, it's not magic, or you don't need money. So you're going to be really being I don't know, intrigued by what he's going to say. So I want to show you how his political party was doing. It was not doing that great. Let me see if I can find him on the Wikipedia. Okay, yeah, I had it before, so just bear with me. Okay, okay, let's see. All right, here we go. Okay, I'll just share this one. So actually, this is a list of political parties in Cameroon. So this is the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement. Of course, Paul Biya, the dictator. You can see how many seats he's got in an assembly. So actually, he's the one ruling the country. Out of 180, he's got 52. So all these people here, I don't know what they're doing, but him is listed on the other parties. So it's actually a political party, registered and everything done properly. So if what we are saying, if the deals goes well, actually Cameroon Reformation Party is going to be PAA Cameroon. So we hope he can see into the vision and actually sell off that political party, because he's not doing so good, because he's just by himself. Or if we cannot get into a deal, we actually going to continue. We're actually gonna build our own political party, So that's the thing. So yeah, so that's what I had to say, guys. If anyone has got something to say, you might pop in and give your contribution on the educational system. What have you learned from you growing up, or what you think you is lacking? You know, if you had the opportunity to make the educational system in your country better, what will you do? What's the first step you're gonna do? So I would really like to hear from you, so we can get suggestion, and brainstorm and see how we can make this stuff. We can make like the PAA make it really successful. So I'll just go back to the structure. And you guys, if you've not yet gone to the website, please do send in your email. We're gonna send you some parts of these slides if you're interested in creating a slide like that. So if anyone is interested, you can pop in and let's have a discussion. So let's see if I can have a little nice music so we can chill a little bit and see. Okay. All right. Let's see this. Okay. Give me a moment, please. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Here we go.
Our uniforms, you are uniforms too. No, 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 no. Oh, yeah. I'm in chains, you're in chains too.
Yeah, this Asha. She's Nigerian. Just those who don't know.
I'm a prisoner, you're a prisoner too, Mr. Jailer. Oh. I have fears, you have fears too. I'll die, but you said will die too. Life is beautiful, don't you think so too, Mr. Jailer? I'm talking to you, Jailer. Stop calling me a prisoner. Let him is without sin be the first to cast the stone, Mr. Jailer. Mr. Jailer, man, you suppress all my strategies. You oppress more every part of me. What you don't know, you're a victim too, Mr. Jailer. Oh, you don't care about my point of view. If I die, another will work for you. So you treat me like a modern slave, Mr. Jailer. I'm talking to you, Jailer. Stop calling me a prisoner. Let him if without sin be the first to cast the stone, Mr. Jailer. Mr. Jailer. Only need simple chords. A, you know. Yeah, something like this way. You see, if you walking in the marketplace, don't throw stones. Even if you do, you just might hit one of your own. Life is not about your policies all the time, so you better rearrange your philosophies. I'm going to your better my data. Stop calling me a prisoner. Let him if without sin be the first that cast the stone, Mr. Jailer. Mr. Jailer, Mr. Jailer. I have a baby say, I wanna be president. I want your money from my government. What he don't know, what he won't know, what he can know. Jada, Jada. Oh, be good, oh, be good, oh, be good, oh. Somebody be good, oh, be good, oh, be good. Oh, be good, oh, be good, oh, be good, oh.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Asha. So let me see what you said in the comments. So Kifaru, I think the pressure for poor kids to work in order to bring in income for the household is the main reason for dropouts. Mm. Okay, okay. So I think if a parent does not see the value of education, you know, if a parent does not see the value of education for their kids, then they might have to send them, to work. But a parent that see education, the value of education, it's actually not going to do the same, because I actually know a lot of poor people who would do all kind of job just to make sure that their kids they're educated. So if a parent does not have the value of education, that is a problem. But at certain case, I think it should be compulsory for parents to send your children to school. They started that in Cameroon, when they see you at a certain age at school time, you're not in school, and your parents might be in problem. They'll find out if they see your parents, and if you don't give them a valid reason for not going to school, you may be in problem. Okay, so if your family is poor and you're going to one kid to go make money now instead of being full-time education, yeah. So because, okay, was it tanky boat? Because school is expensive and will be expensive even if it's free, unless things change. Hmm. Well, how can school be expensive and free? Okay, I'll be just ask the same question. Tanky Bot says school be expensive. So what actually needs to change for free school to be good? So, and Abby says, like, what's this saying there? African governments are addicted to begging and getting donation and setting up system to set up their own set. Okay, African government are addicted to begging and getting donations, that setting up system to set up their own institution. Yeah, I think you're trying to say that they're just taking donation instead of setting up their own institution. Well, this is the thing, Abe. I've noticed most of these African institutions are still sponsored by Europeans. That is the most sad part. The biggest institution in Africa are still sponsored by European. We need to go beg these people to do anything for us. So what they do, they just like throw down to us like the expensive outdated technology, outdated whatever things that they don't use. They just throw it to us, because at the end of the day, if they don't give you, that's what they say, you're not going to build, you're not going to have it anyway. So, like all the research centers, you have what they call them Institute Pasteur. That is in French West Africa. I think that's the biggest research facility, medical research facility. It's French. You go to Institute Pasteur. It's like it's an institute for French students in France to come and do like starch in Africa. So they build that thing for themselves. It's not really for you. They're teaching them to come now to learn about tropical disease, and we just follow them. Oh yeah, I get you a baby. And again, so I was looking for, like, let's just show you this. Yeah, again, there's this other one they call the African, Leadership Institution. They gave it a really fancy name, but before you go, you see who's there is European. So they always want to get ahead of us, create this curriculum to fit them when you graduate. There's no way you're not needed in Africa. You take you and go and build up the society. So our own solution, our own problems, no, our own problems, we're not trained to solve to solve on our own problems, and that's the problem. So we should actually be having institution in Africa for Africans that we're going to solve our own problems, but not really trying to integrate with some advanced European system to kind of give us shed us light, kind of channel us, show us how it's done. Because as long as they come, it's always going to be the agenda. Them first and you second, and we know they always who set the agenda creates your history. And so talking about institutions. So if you come, let me just say let's show you this stuff. It's really interesting. Um, okay, let's go here. Okay, just give me a moment, please. I thought I had this on. Okay, is this one? Just give it some time to load. Okay, yeah, this is actually European kind of research joint institute. Okay, there's nothing like this in Africa. If you try to search, nothing is going to show at all. They just have some guys trying to create their own little institution. There's no collaboration. That's why when this COVID thing happened, the Africans, whatever they call themselves, I don't know, lawyers, researchers, they were begging for the European to give them the sample, uh, to give them sample of the COVID vaccine, and these people actually did not give them, and they were trying to reverse engineer the vaccine to see how it was done, but these Europeans they shared them among themselves, but for some reason our people still want to go and work in this institution, to make them proud. So we need to create this kind of collaboration and look for the best African people all around the African continent and contain them there. If we don't do that, we'll just be talking, talking, and talking, and they will still come and take people like that away. So this is and it's sponsored by the European Union. So this institution is sponsored by the European Union. They do all kind of research from agriculture. It's a lot. Yeah, it's really big, and I think it's doing so much research in Europe. Yeah, so that's it. So the education is something that we cannot underestimate. It's really, really a tough thing that I think we don't have the basics. As I said, we've been trained to fit the West. We're trained to get the degree, go out and look for work in this international institution, and that has always been things. Even after colonization, we had people that were in standard one, standard two, standard three, and those things were actually those they were actually like level of education. For the British or the French colonial system, they knew when you finished standard one, you could work there. It was just to feed in those societies. And fast forward to 2022, it has not changed. It's just more fancy, but we're still working and they're still feeding us with their textbooks and their curriculum to feed them. And things like that, we need to change. Yeah. So, yeah, guys, if anyone has got something to say, you can pop up and share your ideas. How do you think education should be? Welcome, Jude, should be managed in a Pan-African alliance. So what system do you have? What do we keep and what do we get rid of? What do we keep and what do we get rid of? Because when I was growing up, in my class we studied like things that, for example, and people still complain, had no relevance, you know, because we're just copying what was being done in Europe, but it was of zero relevance for those people in Africa. But we had to study them because we had to write the GCSE. That was their exam. So we just followed that trend. And up to today, we're still doing the same thing. We need to actually create a system for us, for Africans. Yeah. So that's it. So if you have anything to say, you pop up and yeah. So let's play the quote again from that was just wait, let me take off this one. Yep. That was Walter Roney, How Europe Underdeveloped Africa. We all need to work in how to overthrow the system. Yeah, so that's it. And yeah. Hello, bro.
Oh yes, Kifaro, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. How have you been?
I've been great, man.
Yeah,
Just
so what you say about the topic, let's go back there. Yeah, so education in Pan-African Alliance. So what actually do you think can be changed? What do you think is been done wrong in Africa? What's your opinion?
um, this is the thing. We talk about education, and like you said, most of the curriculums that African countries, use in Africa is mostly European. But at the same time, take we cannot copy the European education at this current time to paste it in Africa because look, Europeans have moved onto another stage where the Europeans at this moment, is first world. I mean, Europe is developed, but the setting in Africa is not. So there are
Mhm.
certain kind of curriculum like courses in Africa that's supposed to be taken out, like subjects that doesn't make sense. So Africans should focus more on things that needs to change Africa currently to build, to clean. You go to African countries, right? You have all these. We should be encouraging technical setting of technical system of education where people can actually do carpentry, um bricklayers, construction, I mean, we should start building our own stuff, technology, science, mathematics. This is the kind of education where Africans should be focusing on instead of focusing on history, telling, trying to learn about other European history, and all these things should be taken out of Africa. And um and that's my point. Another point I want to say is in Africa, right? Africans do charge, especially like you said, Cameroon, right? Ask yourself why people do not go to school in some communities because people are getting charged a lot. Even when they
Mhm.
made education free, the same time the schools still charge people when it comes to PTA, that's Parent or Teachers Association. So what is it? People spend, so they charge you more in PTA. What is PTA? PTA is a kind of bill that people pay so they can have the school like some kind of running, like clean or do things, or so they charge this kid more than their school fees. So if you say school is free, but at the same time you still charge people more than what they were supposed to pay as school fees, it's still causing a lot of problems. So it tells you that they are being paid, they paid more in a lot of things than even the school fees. So in a kind of way it's not even free, you know
So
so
you advocate for complete free education. Do you advocate for complete free education for all levels, or do you think there's a stage where that education that part needs to be free?
the same time you cannot go in for free education because the government needs money for a system that is still living on crack. I think people have to actually fund their own education, but at the same time you don't want to make it so expensive because if you want to create a system where people can come to school free, at least they have to have certain things like free food. A lot of things has to happen, so they have to actually pay a certain kind of fee. but you cannot do that when the country is messed up. Like, oh man, there's a lot of noise coming out from the truck, but you cannot have this when the whole you have to make it from crash. People actually see in a free society where people are working, people have things going. Education is not a problem, especially like if you come to America, right? Everybody has a thing going. The government has to give fund to people to go to school to encourage them. When they finish and then they have a job and then they can start paying back. That way you are not causing a burden of not going to school or because you don't have fun or this, but the government
Is
also
there?
needs something back.
I think that there's now a complaint in the West said children are being dying, like they've been drowning in school loans. You know, they say they take loans when they finish, they can't even cope. Don't you think the government giving you a loan to pay your fees at the end of the day is going to catch up with you somewhere in the future?
Right, but this is the thing. It also makes people to be educated, because if you go to Cameroon, you find, or to a lot of African countries after high school, right? Or many people dropped out because they don't have fundings to go to school. Now in America, you don't have that. People can actually drop out based on their own, not based on the fundings, because the government can give you money.
Hmm.
Um, Another point that I want to also make is like, I mean, that so funding is, it shouldn't be, it's not a problem in America, but you have it as a problem in Africa. The government should look into certain things, man. You have to build a safe society for things like this to happen, where people can actually have get fundings to go to school. It's just, I mean, despite the fact that in America people complain of paying student loan, right? It's not forced of on you paying. You only pay when you have a job. So you are not paying when you don't have a job. When you have a job, you start paying. But at the same time, you are not forced to take so much loan. If you can afford it, then you can. But education has
Mm.
to be free based on, it depends what stage. Like in kindergarten, I believe that schools should be free. But once you start getting to a certain institutions like higher and universities, I think the government should start, people should start funding, but it shouldn't be more expensive. Or if they
So
cannot, then the government could give
mm.
some kind of assistance.
So you think kindergarten should be free? I was thinking kindergarten should be the one that they need to pay because little kids have
No,
more needs than adults. So I was thinking maybe they have more needs. The government. Okay. So you think kindergarten should be free completely?
right. Kindergarten should be free. Why should it be free? Because now, they, if making an adult education free doesn't make sense. Making kindergarten free makes sense because you have to mold. Yeah, you have to mold people from the beginning. You cannot discourage people from going to kinder. So you cannot discourage people from going to school at that age, right? You want to
Okay.
cajole people. You want to cajole people with an open system. Or they have this in school. You encourage them. So by the time they turn that age of high uh, adult, they already know. Oh, they were encouraged. But once you start having that high price on kindergarten, people, it start discouraging families and stuff. Most families don't want to send their kids. That's why in Cameroon, you see that problem. Most people don't go to nursery school anymore. They just go directly to primary because they feel like a kindergarten is expensive. And now, when you see the difference between people that went through kindergarten and the ones that just went directly into, it's causing conflict, because the one that went through kindergarten are more better off going through kindergarten.
Mm. That's a good point. Kindergarten should be free.
Right. It
Yeah.
encourages, it mold people at that, it molds people, it gives them a lot of nourishing, what they have to know about going on with their education. When it comes to higher education like university, I don't think it has to be free, because actually you could be working. In America, adults actually work at the age of 18. You could actually work and go to school. The system of education has to change, the way where people are encouraging to work and go to school, make it 24/7, taking classes online. These are the things that have to get, you have to develop all this kind of system. It doesn't mean people have to go sit down in a classroom. People are now taking classes online, doing things. So you have to open the space for people,
Okay.
you
Okay.
know.
So you think we don't necessarily need a confined box or a classroom?
No, Not at all. Not at all. You don't need
So
that.
at what level do you think that's good? You can do in kindergarten, of course, that little children. So do you mean at university level, like higher education, or even college, or what?
Even college, people are already started. We should start creating platforms where kids can. I mean, in middle school, like say middle school is like probably just getting into secondary school in Cameroon, right? People should already start knowing how to take classes online. You could have a teacher present in any part of Africa giving classes to any peoples online or stuff like that. I mean, it's easy, it's comfortable. Now that is easy because people don't have to pay classroom. You don't have to pay a piece of so that even reduce costs in Africa. Most people don't know it reduce costs in schools because you don't actually have to pay for a lot of things. You don't actually have to pay employment. Like what I mean is instead paying teachers to go sit down in the place, now people can sit in their comfort zone and give lectures or teach kids. So
So what? Okay, I get what you mean, but some people believe school is a kind of a social environment. So what
so
happens to the social part?
social environment is the same time when I say giving classes doesn't mean people cannot meet once in a week, linking up, meeting up with see, you have to create a system that works for African. You cannot copy and
Yes,
paste, right?
exactly, exactly.
So
But don't you think that that online thing is like mostly the West? Don't you think we are trying to copy them?
nope. It's not the worst. It's as years goes by, there are a lot of things that needs to upgrade. That's why Africans or countries do not upgrade their educational system. Educational system is becoming archaic because we still keep them. See, you, you have to create a psychological safety when it comes to education, Kifaru. Like things have to get done. Like
Hmm.
I cannot explain, but see, when kids go to school on Monday, Tuesday, there should be certain days that they sit at home and take classes.
So that you just to let you all what you're saying, I'm like keeping it, writing it. I have my little mic that is dictating because I'm going to use all this point to write the section C of the manifesto, that is education in the PPA member state. So we're going to create an educational system that's going to be one and for all,
Right.
so that we can
And
actually track
another point
it.
that I wanted to make is in Cameroon, you see how education is differentiated between technical and grammar education. It makes people not to go to technical section because they believe that if they go to those section, they are not going to get jobs in the long run. Everybody want to be medical doctor, so they go to you don't differentiate. Education in Africa shouldn't be differentiated. All these subjects should be combined together. You have a technical subject going the same time with a grammar, so there should just be one. In America, there's nothing like technical school, there's nothing like grammar school or whatever. There's one school that you study the same thing. So it makes people to take on technical classes while they are still taking on grammar education.
Let me play you this thing. I found something. They consider Finland to have the best educational system in the world, and they do something that is really, really amazing when it comes to the educational system. Like they don't have a generalized curriculum. So each class creates your own curriculum. You understand? So
Right.
the teachers are the one that decide, as how the children respond. They create the curriculum, and to me, and it works, because if it did not work, uh it wouldn't be considered the best. I don't know if you have some time. Let's see this.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's 8 a.m. on a cold morning in the suburbs of Helsinki, and these primary school children are getting ready for class. This morning's lesson, ancient history.
Well, they are reading with pairs some texts about Egyptian ancient life. They are reading, and then I'm gonna ask something. What did they
Okay, you see, like what they're doing, they're collaborating. I don't know if that has changed in Cameroon, but when we're growing up, that was never allowed. And to me, learning as a group is always best, because you share ideas even at that age. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a sharing ideas is always a good system of education. People come together, they talk what they have to do. Even just talking to your peers is great.
This is a school
Yeah.
system that for years has been among the world's best.
And then what about this gold one? Yes,
You're gonna
please.
say more
Ja
interesting
ilmeisesti
thing.
niin kuin molemmat on käyttänyt meikkiä.
And yet these kids will spend half as much time in a classroom as Australian children.
You see, they even spend lesser time in the
Exactly.
classroom than in most parts of the world, but they are still considered the best. So
Exactly.
because actually they have worked out a system that works for them. I think this is what we should be doing. We can always like learn from some other people what is working. So I was really, really impressed that when they said they spend half the time. So it's not actually spending the whole day in school make you better. Because if it was, they would not be, because they spend half the time that most others people in all the world do.
When you go to the first grade, when you are 7 years old, the amount of hours is 20 hours a week. It's the minimum. And then it gets more hours the older you get, but it's still less than in many countries in Europe or in the world.
In Finland, it's individual teachers who decide how the curriculum is taught.
Yeah, did you hear that?
Yes, I heard that.
Yeah, they decide. That was so fascinating
Including
to hear.
how much technology should feature in their classrooms.
Me tehdään sellaista pyramidiprojektia, missä nyt me kirjoitetaan hieroglyfeillä meidän nimet paperille ja sitten me tehdään Classroomista tehtäviä.
11-year-old Mintu Latumaki asks to leave class to work at the school's own student-run cafe.
You can go. Yeah.
Did you hear that? That
Right.
was so good. So at that little age, she's going to school and she can learn how to manage a bar. You
Right.
can't
So
imagine the skills
so
that
that's
she's
practical.
getting.
Right.
One cake
Yeah.
for the cameraman, one cake for me, and 2 coffees. How much is it?
€7 and
So
60 cents.
practical life.
How much change?
€2 and 40 cents.
Pesos. So is there a tip jar? Do you have tips?
No.
No tips. Okay.
Yeah, so that was really, really good. So when I saw that, I was really impressed. So these are the little things that we can actually learn and make it work for us. Yeah. So
Right. But
that
you
was the
have to
things.
have
Yeah.
you have to have simultaneous system of education. You don't want everything in to be zigzag where a school is doing this system and then another school is doing this. I mean, if you want to, then if you are talking of Africa as a whole, then I think you have to have some kind of a simultaneous curriculum where people follow. I think there's a guideline on what these actually schools can actually do, right? So it's not everybody just doing zigzag or doing this and doing that. It just doesn't make sense at all. But my point is, in America, right, there's another thing that they call no child left behind in American education. So if you start kindergarten all the way to you graduating college, you don't have to repeat a class, even if you
Okay.
don't. Right, no child left behind. You don't have to repeat a class, so you cannot be in the same class with somebody that's older than you. In the state.
That is good. So what what's the use for that?
That the use for that is exams are not something that people rate you based on exams. So exam doesn't qualify you, because keeping somebody in a class because he cannot move on because he repeated an exam doesn't make sense. That same person, that's why you see a person that probably have that difficulties in Africa comes to the United States, he excel more better in certain
You know the stigma. When we're growing up, when you come, you meet someone that repeated that class. He was always a laughing stock.
Right, a lively stock. But those are the kind of things that you don't want to make that stigma on people. So no
That's
child
good.
left,
No child left behind. That is a nice one.
no child left behind. So the people that you started together, you guys move on all the way up till you guys graduate. So it now is not causing conflict between an older age, because having somebody that's older than a person that is younger in the same class makes that person more knowledgeable. There's some certain types of ideas that flow within that person than a lesser person that is less older. So it caused conflict in education in Africa, but we don't know that.
Okay, that's true. So that's fine. So what about like quality of education? You know what I mean?
Yeah, the quality of education
Like
when it comes to
the teachers,
the teachers. Yeah, this is the thing, right? They say a master program, people go become masters, and when they have masters they can teach. In
Okay.
kindergarten, I don't look, when it comes to teaching, I think they have to have schools for teaching. I think
No,
it
but
teach,
they do exist school for teaching,
yeah, I
and
think I think I think in Africa, but in America they don't have school for teaching. Once you graduate school, once you say, if you go to university and study a course like geography or history, once you graduate, once you get your bachelor's, you get a master's, you can just become a teacher. When if you go and study an educational subject, what they call it educational, once you have your degree, you have your master, you can become a teacher. That's just what it is. There's no teaching school in America.
Hmm,
Right.
that's interesting. So what do you think? Because in Cameroon we do have a teachers training.
Right,
So
that's what
what?
I'm saying. In
So
Cameroon, we do have teachers training.
yeah, I think you need to be able to teach, because there's one thing for you to understand the subject and be able to teach it. So that's I think teaching is a gift. I don't think everyone can teach. So people who can teach, they might just be able to teach even without going to school. But I think there's an art in teaching people. I think people should actually have teachers training. Teaching someone, you need to be able to know how to teach. I don't think it's just enough for you to understand a subject or subject matter and you assume you can teach. I think that's we'll keep the teachers training.
Right. This is the thing, right? Why they do that in most countries is because they don't have a lot of, they don't want a lot, because people go into teaching in these African countries as a way of getting out of poverty. So that is why they have this kind of teachers training, and they put certain kind of exams so that it reduce the number of people that are going into these schools to do it. But another point that I wanted to raise is um I wanted to say something, but another point that what did I wanted to there was another point that I wanted to raise when it comes to this educational um problem. Um,
Is it about, I don't know, teachers time?
yeah, okay. Let me, there was another point that, yeah, okay, based on the teaching, right? Like you said, I think teachers have um
Okay, maybe you come. So what do you think about this? What do you think about this data here? What do you think might be the cause? Some people say it's due to poverty, but I think I've known poor people, but they do their best to send their children to school. You understand? The
right.
poor families that will sell, the mother, the father will work the hardest just because they want to send their children to school. So I don't really think it's poverty. So what do you think might be the reason for these people not attending school? Look at the percentage.
Yeah, people not attending school is based on a lot of things: the environment, the people that you align with, the things that you face at home, the difficulties. It's just a lot of things that we make that percentages go high or lower. So in America, they consider, like, most countries that do, like, when it comes to education, they are ranked more. When you check their environment, those kids are living great. They are living good. They don't actually have things that is distracting them. They have all the resources. They have all the things that they can play with. But in African countries, we don't have these things. We don't have it.
Like
So,
for example, like what for example, like what did they play with?
oh, okay. Say in Africa, in United States, you can just sit at home, and you going to school. You have buses that comes over and get you from your home and takes you all the way to school.
Okay. Again,
Those
that's a good point. Free public
public
transport.
public transport just for kids,
Mm,
comfortable. People are willing to go to school because
I'm
they
gonna,
don't have to trek.
I'm gonna
There are
write.
certain things that cajoles them
That's
to
good.
come to. There are certain things that cajoles them to come to school. Once they go to school, they have a lot of things to play with. They everything is like the environment. They have sports centers. They have a lot of things. Like you were just showing a video where they even have playstations. Like those are the
Yeah,
things people
yeah,
have compute. So so people go to school more because they have more things in school than even in their homes.
yeah.
That is what Africans should like. Computers, they can play with a lot of things. Playing in school is some kind of education because you can even be playing with toy cars that you can end up be a manufacturer yourself. You can end up know how to manufacture cars. You are playing with
Mm.
aeroplane toys, taking it apart. You can end up knowing how to do those things.
Yeah, because we don't. Yeah, I think I get what you mean. The school should be like really animated for the young children because
Oh,
they like object and toys and things like that. If they don't have them, they might not be interested. So that's
ano-
I'm gonna write that down. I think that's
uh,
important point.
another point, the point that I remember what I wanted to say before is in Africa, right? You see, when you go to secondary schools in some places, um, they already tell you, hey, you are not good in medicine because you didn't pass in the so and so classes, you didn't pass in so and so subjects. You are not good in this. But when you come to the Western world, you realize that that is not good because I've seen a lot of people that they told them, oh, you didn't have this, you didn't have English, you didn't take biology, so you cannot be a medical doctor. But when you come here, you can, because what you study in high school and go to university, you can actually become a medical doctor without actually having to study from high school. You know what I mean? Like from high school, they don't determine, oh, you have to be a medical doctor, you have to be this, like in most African countries.
So come again. Come let say that again.
Okay, what I'm saying is, in the state, right? I don't want to take the state as a means of a system to compare, but in the state, right, you can actually study your whole educational system. And then when you get to college, you can actually study whatever you want to study. Most people in college really don't have what they want to become. Like you could see somebody taking a class that he doesn't know what he can become, but after graduation, he can decide to be a medical student. So he can write the entrance of becoming a lawyer or becoming a medical doctor and go into a medical school if he can pass the exams in the universities. So that gives you a broad in mind because the more you grow older, maybe you have changed your mind to become something else. But in Africa, like they like, oh, you are a science student, you are this student, you are this. No, it shouldn't be that way. So people actually can be free in studying whatever they want to study without actually taking a lot of exams or take. So that's what makes you open.
So they should not. So you think competitive entrance exams are wrong?
Are wrong, exactly. I mean, those things are wrong, man. They are wrong.
So wait. So what do you think?
Those exams should only happen after bachelor's degrees. Once you have done with your bachelor's, now you can write competitive exams to be, if you want to go into a medical school, if you want to go into a law school, if you want to go into some kind of schools or things like that. That is when exams comes in. But giving exams to kindergarten, high school, and entrance into university just doesn't make no sense. I mean, in America, they only give you entrance exams only when they want to grade your level of English or mathematics. But if you don't pass it, it doesn't mean you are not going into the same university. You are going to go into the university, but you are going to take those classes. They're going to put you in a class that you're going to be able to take math, English. It doesn't mean you are still not going to become what you want to become.
So I get you. So you go there, and if you're not, if you can't, you drop out. But if they do that, okay, then you get a bunch of people who are just like opportunists, and they take the space of people who actually could do that. Don't you think it's not fair on people that could actually be part of that?
No, no, no. What you mean is not. It's not fair. It's not. But there's always gonna be a lot of people. So many people doing the same thing over and over. It's not. It's nothing like fair or not fair. People. I don't know, but exams is a hinder to people. It stop people from becoming what they want to become in life, what they admire in doing. That's just a problem. It's a problem. Those kind of things have to be solved, because people, you see a kid that maybe face difficulties in exams, but when he goes into a different environment, he's doing what he likes. That's why you see people that wanted to become medical doctors in African countries and they couldn't, but when they come to the state, they are doing they are now medical doctors. Do you know why? Because they are studying the exams that they face difficult. They are not more doing it.
Yeah, so you think actually, I'll take that point down. Competitive entrance exam, it kinds of yeah,
It
it
hinders
hinders
people
people.
growth.
Yeah, actually, yeah, a root boy, that's a crazy school. So we're talking like things like this. We should not say things like this. To me, this is not poverty. This is negligence. This is bad governance. This is people who don't care about your people. There's no way on earth, like even in the village, you should have a school like this. A church, I tell you, a church in this village will be better than this school. A
Right,
church or whatever will be better than this school.
but
But they don't.
who's
Um,
funding though? You have to know that's where the funding comes in. Who funds the schools in Africa? Is it the government? Is it private? Is it we
no,
have
no, no.
to
I'm talking about government. I'm talking about state school. Like
right,
the private can do whatever they want to do. No, they always have level. A private cannot do something like this. They would not. The government will not allow you to build something like this. Only them can do something like this.
right.
To build a school, it's four walls. So to me, this is just negligence and corruption and whatever. How do you expect a child like this one to go to school and like school? Of
Exactly right.
course, of course,
Exactly.
it's not going to like school. It's going to stay away. So I think like the PAA, this like infrastructure, school infrastructures must actually, we need to have a standard, a standard of school infrastructure all across member states. It's unfortunate that good schools in Cameroon that, or I don't know, maybe in most part of Africa, it's still built by foreigners. I don't know, Japan. I remember one time Japan came and had to tell these damn African leaders, we're going to build schools for your children. So these people, so how can you visit a school like this? I don't know, you're a government administrator or whatever, and you think it's okay. And before they come, some of them, they bring all these children, bring them over and make them clap for these people. It's a disgrace. So
Yeah,
things
people
like
have
this,
been
we have to stop them, and
people
we will take control.
people are being packed in schools like sardines, and this is because they don't have built infrastructure. This is why when in most countries in the developed world, when schools are given, infrastructure is taken into consideration first before the
Yeah,
people.
we
But
gotta
in
put the
in Africa,
infrastructure down.
they give education. They give, if they want to start school, they just tell people, oh, there's school, but there's no infrastructure. Our
No,
government do not take things
that's
serious.
rubbish.
Right. So environment, they have to be inspectors that goes into this kind of environment to check how kids are doing, to check the environment, to check people do schools, but there's no latrines, there's no I
Mm.
mean, the environment is not safe.
Infrastructure. Mm. Yeah,
You have
I'm
to.
getting so much points here. I'm not gonna lie. I think that was the reason for this video, like to update the manifesto, and I'm getting so much points. That's
Like,
that's that's nice. Yeah.
so like me and you, we made a statement before where you say kids were beaten in school, so it stopped them from doing. Those are the type of things that people have to sit down and say, no, we don't need these things anymore, because you instead scared people from coming to school. You have to draw people closer to come to school than chasing them away to go to not come to school. So you have to bring a lot of things in the environment where kids will be doing. you know.
Yeah, that's good. We can learn. That's why I say we need to get into politics, because what you're saying, this ancient African mindset, they don't understand. They don't understand. You understand? Because someone with the normal sense will never consider this a school.
Of course, of course, of course. And I've come to realize that the environment where you find yourself in Africa, right? You kind of have better schools. So if you live in the city, your school is more upgraded. If you live in the suburb, you have a different school. When you go into a village, you have a different school.
Well,
That's the problem.
it just depends what kind. Even in the city, public schools are not even good.
Exactly. But
So I
that's
don't even talk the cities. Maybe you're talking about private school because they have the government give them back. We can't expect the private sector to educate our kids because it's expensive.
yeah, it's not because you can in America, right? They have a lot of subventions and subsidies that they give to schools, especially when it comes to food. The food is the government is the one that say, okay, I'm going to be supplying your school food, so children don't actually have to pay for school for feeding. So those are the kind of things that the government, if I mean, sometimes if a government cannot take care of schools, they give it to private can run it, but you have to have certain subventions. Like, okay, you have to say, okay, you run your teachers, you bring in your teachers, credit school, then we are going to be giving you feeding, we are going to be giving paying for your we are going to construct the school for you. So those are the kind of things that it makes private owner they take care of school. Like me and you know that private schools are more, they more educate people than government schools, because government schools really don't take care about they really don't take care about people. Private schools are strict, it makes people come to work. Government schools do not do that. There's a more of laxity.
Yeah, but now public school, I think that's the main thing. If we're getting into politics, is to make public school accessible. Maybe the ones that have to be free, the infrastructure, have a value of education, to encourage people, young people actually want to go to school.
Right.
You go school, as you said, you have a bus. These are simple things. I don't even think these are really complex things. Just imagine a child in somewhere in Africa gets up, have their own little breakfast, and there's a bus waiting for you to take you to
Which is
school free of charge. Whose
exactly.
child don't want to go to school? You know,
Exactly.
these are the things I think we need to make it like compulsory among all this member state of people who are going to sign and rectify this PPA thing. I think we're actually going to put that in the manifesto because it actually makes a lot of sense. So great point there, great point. Thank you like very much for your contribution. So
Oh, no problem. And another thing that I wanted to think in is when it comes to school, right? I don't know. I feel like boarding schools is some kind of school that is also making wave across Africa.
I just every root boy, sorry. Yeah, this website we're still building it is just going to be talking about Pan African Alliance. We are not selling anything, so it's just the all the activities that will be going on all across Pan African Alliances in Africa. So we're contacting someone in Togo, and we're posting the post what's happening, our activities, how we are going, how we are gaining popularity, how we are gaining awareness. So it will be like just us posting things, Pan African. It's not we're not selling. We're a political part. We're a political movement, not a business. We're not making money. If you want to be part of it, you create a core in your own country and be part of it. Let's create this movement. Let's take over Africa. Welcome, America. Welcome, America. Nice to see you. Nice to see you, brother. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, Jude. Yeah.
Oh yes. What I was saying is, when it comes to boarding, there's a certain kind of schools in Cameroon, even in the state, they have boarding schools, and people believe that people that
No, I
go.
went. I went to Sase 7 years, bro.
Right, right, right. So now, if you compare the boarding schools and people that goes went into like public schools, you kind of see that there's a difference, right, when it comes to education. Now, how do you make this system of education more valuable, right? Because now most people see in America now, people are dumping public schools. They believe that the system of education is not good. People are just laxity. People want to go into boarding schools because they believe that the system of education is high. So now, for you as a Pan African Alliance, there's that people have to bring that environment of boarding school into a high value in public schools. Make it in such a way that is a high system of across the board. So what I
Okay.
mean is you have high value teachers, the same as you have it in boarding schools. Or should all these schools be turned into boarding schools? Because when you have people boxed in the same environment, they learn better.
That's true. That's true. So like the quality of education in boarding school should be brought to public schools. So what
Public
do you
schools.
think? What do you think they're doing this private boarding schools? What do you think? Is it about the discipline?
It's about the discipline. It's about a lot of things, right? Like me and you were saying, when it comes to boarding school, they fit in schools. They have a lot of things that they do. Public schools do not. Most public schools do not fit in schools. When they go home, they play a lot. They don't sleep on time. They do a lot of things. If you are in Africa, maybe you go to the farm. You do a lot of things. So that educational system is cut.
Okay. So
There's a
this
lot of
another. Okay. So thank you. Sorry for cutting you short. I get you. So let's go back there. Uh, okay. I wrote something down. There's something that some people talk about targeted education,
all right.
targeted learning. Okay. Do you think targeted learning is or education is something good? Like, let's say we identify some people, let's say in this conglomerate of Pan African Alliance nations that are really smart. Do you think we just need to take them and keep them into special school, like create like a league of really smart people? Or do you think we just need to let them flow?
No, you cannot create a league of smart people, man. You cannot come over and handpick a certain group of people and call them smart people. You have to let people flow within a certain group. So instead of me saying, oh, this person has the right to go to here and this person do not, I would like just put everybody in the same box and let them flow in that same environment.
So you don't like smart special school idea?
No, no. That is not. That is causing. Is causing. Is differentiating people. That's why when you see in Africa, you have. Oh, you went to this school. You went to this school. If I was the one, I would even disrupt boarding schools and have people go in the same school. If you want to make schools boarding, then that should cut across the board and make everybody goes into that environment where there's boarding school. Once you leave kindergarten, middle school, everybody should go into a boarding school where they can stay in there and learn a whole lot of things. And when they are done, then they can come back to their families. So you are
So
able to take.
yeah, good. Let me just recap of some of the points you've said that I've taken down here. You said like really, really good points. I really appreciate. So we're just gonna make our manifesto really robust because this is what we're gonna offer. You propose free education for kindergartens. Nursery school. You talk about the policy of no child left behind. So you don't repeat a class. That's to what level? That's the thing.
All right, you don't repeat a class all the way up to all the way up to after high school.
Okay, all the way up to high school, you don't repeat the class. Then you have
Right,
to talk about public
but
transportation for
okay,
like remote areas. That's good, and a lot of animation in
and
school.
exactly.
And the good infrastructures. That's really good point. And I think what you said, we are really lacking most of these things in Africa. If you think of it now, these are great points that they are not there. You see, when I say let's come, share idea, just you, but just only idea is like just can make change. If we're going to actually write anything in the manifesto, these are really, really great points. I think if you give someone the manifesto to read and we see things like this, you know, they're gonna say, okay, let's try these people. And yeah, you make sense. That's good. And you talk about, you say no targeted learning
No
and
targeted
online
learning.
studies.
What I mean is, if I was to be in power in every country, right, in an African country, what I would do is, once kids, once they turn a certain age, once they turn 10, right, once they leave, you can live with your mom, you go to school. Once you turn 10, from kindergarten to middle school, once you turn 10, these people should be taken out and put in a box. When I mean box, I mean into a kind of boarding school where, I mean, like, you have your terms, they have vacations, so they come home, but everybody should, because when you leave them out to live with their family, to live with their parents at this age, there's a lot of distraction. There's a lot of things that is stopping them from doing what they want, especially when they go home, they play around, they do this. It stops them from doing what you want to mold them into. So at this age, boarding schools should be what a system where everybody is put at at the box that you were talking about, and let them study. They have more time to do things, to play around, to construct, to collaborate, bring new ideas. So based on me, I wouldn't even, at the age of 10, I wouldn't even
So
encourage
what you
public
mean,
school.
like from 10 to what age?
From 10, I mean, that's high, that's 10 years old all the way to 18. That's when you graduate high school. I believe that
But
it's
don't
good.
you think? Oh, then you will need so much schools in one area. How many people you gonna fit in one boarding school, like containing all of them? Is that not so stressful? Don't you
It's
think?
not, it's not, but you already have schools in every places. You already have schools around.
So how do you make all schools boarding school? Do you think that is
That's
is
what that's why I
is
was
doable?
telling you. If you see the value of schools in Cameroon and those, or in Africa, and those who went to boarding school, it tells you that they excel more. Even when they comes to the state, you see that most people that have become medical doctors, most of them went to boarding schools in Africa. Most of them went to those kind of schools, and we have come to realize that those are the kind of people that excel more. And what do you just create boarding schools? You have to come in an environment where you want things to thrive. That's just it. You have to make it happen.
Mm. So I think, well, if you ask me, I may be wrong. The boarding school, what actually makes the difference is the discipline, because they have the same curriculum.
They have the same curriculum, but
So if you
but guess
can,
what, the teachers, where do the teachers live?
they
Where do
live
the teachers?
inside the school.
Okay, now they live inside the schools now. But if you have in public school, teachers do not live inside the school, so sometimes they call off, sometimes they come late, and sometimes, they don't just show up to work. So it causes now a problem where the kids might not have a class for that day, so they tend to go home and relax, or they start playing. But in boarding school, once a teacher doesn't show up, maybe there's another program that is going on. Maybe they are sitting down and doing social work, or maybe they are somewhere. So there's some kind of a routine that kids are following.
That's interesting. Yeah. So America, we're just talking. I don't know if you're still there. You're still watching football. So we're just saying how we can make the educational system of the Pan African, conglomerate better than what is it today. If you can call in and give your experience, what you've studied abroad that you think is lacking in Africa, what can be taken, what can be added, what can be subtracted. What do you think? What is the best educational system? So, in a nutshell, if you were supposed to organize your educational institution in your country, what will you do? So, that was it. So, this guy here is we're trying to make a deal with him. He's a friend. He actually has a party called Cameroon Reformation Party. It's registered. So we're trying to take over to switch it to the PAA, Cameroon. So if that deal can go through, then we have the first PAA party in Cameroon. And we'll start from there. Charity begins at home. So people think we're just on YouTube, and we're talking to people writing and asking so many questions. We should be able. So he's actually a politician, but this is the thing. He's just a normal guy, a hardworking guy. He's got his own business. Actually, he did some odd jobs sometime, just the enthusiasm. We talk about Africa, talk about so many things. So he has a party. I'm going to bring him here someday, and he's gonna tell you guys that creating a political party is not a far-fetched idea. So that's why I put him there. He's smart. He's got businesses in South Africa as well, and everywhere, but it's just a real nice person, hardworking, hardworking guy.
Yes. You see, I was talking to two Nigeria, right, and they have a program in Nigeria where after I mean I think after university or maybe after high school you go into a kind of system where they call or SYC or NSYC or something
National
where
Youth Service.
you have to serve.
Um, that's good. That's good. That's called the National Youth Service. Yeah.
Right, where you have to serve in any part of Nigeria.
Oh,
And that is a rule that they created for their own people. You go to Russia, the Russia has a system where in high school you are already serving in the military. You already have the skill to become a military. They serve you with military. So by the time you are graduating high school, you can be among a selective service. Like you don't have to become a military. Things might just happen and they pick you up and become a military. So these are the kind of things that you have to inculcate in African educational system. It's not copying and paste, but things that works for Africa. You know, these are the kind of things that works. When I say creating a boarding school will be more based on me, I think it will be more better for Africans, especially after the age of 10, 8 years in a boarding school. We give them a lot of ideas and it will make them prosper a lot because it will mold them at that point before they go into universities. So 8 years of boarding school I think is great. I think if I was a president in any African country, I would legalize boarding school and disqualified public schools, you know.
yeah. But the thing, this is the thing. Okay, I just want you to say this way: boarding schools, they take a lot of resource, like feeding these people. Like, for example, if you take a public school, let's say like Kaskumba, they've got almost 1,000 people. You understand?
Exactly.
Boarding school cannot maintain that amount. Do you think they
No,
can do? How will
but
they?
this is the thing. You say feed a lot of people. Now you are creating employment because you are creating feeding companies. There are companies in America when it comes to public schools here that they still feed people in public schools. There's
That's a
no
great
public
point.
there is no public school in America that doesn't feed people. Now you are creating people companies that they can create food companies that they just say, okay, we are feeding this school. They have breakfast, dinner, and lunch, and you go
There's something
right.
that
You go
I'm gonna put compulsory feeding for
right,
public school as
compulsory
well.
feeding. Now you have a company that says, okay, this hour we are making breakfast for this school. They do their breakfast, eggs, and do that, and then they supply these schools in their cafeteria, and they are preparing now lunch and dinner for these schools. Man, look, Africans can do it. You can create a system that works for your own people. What I'm saying is not perfect, but everybody can have their own ideology, what they feel like educational system can work. But this is what I'm giving to Africans. You have to, once you put people in a box, especially at that age from 10 to 18 years old, people work together. You are combining a technical system of education and a grammar system of education. People are working things, people are building, playing with, you know, toys, train, how they can construct, build stuff. We want to start building things from scratch in Africa. We want to start building. We don't want to start, the Europe have already gone in a stage where they are not constructing a lot of things anymore. They have good roads, they have ships, they have this. Africans cannot even construct certain things in Africa. Key to,
Yeah,
you know, so
I think that boils down to the education.
education.
So
Yeah. But things have to change, man. If you cannot fix your educational system, and then anything that is coming out from that country is not gonna be proper at all. Because now you have corruption that is cutting across every Africa. Okay, take for instance, back in high school, when I was in high school in Cameroon, right? When I go late to school, and you might end up bribing a teacher for not you might end up bribing a teacher because you came late, or maybe allow you to pass a certain class. You bribe a teacher. But now with this kind of education, you are reducing, you are cutting out all these things.
okay, let's just have a moment of break. Thank you. listen to Papa Wemba.
Guy, man.
This your Lele, Papa Wemba. May his soul rest in peace.
Nalekala fundue, nalekala landoe. Ela kanala kisate na lingio, na bomi yako na kaka motema somoe. Yolele, yana sangio, yolele, yana sangio. Wana mama kusala lesoe, yana sangio, yolele, yana sangio. Malekalo fundue, mama, malekalo lendoe. Ela konala kisate na luio, na bogira bona kama motema o somoe. Yolele, yana sangio, yolele, yana sangio. Mwana mama kusalo lesoe, yana sangio. Mwana mama kusabize kimbo, yana sangio. Ela kamaya bolingo, eba na kuna eba
All right, yeah. What's that? A rude boy. Yeah. So African demons. I don't like that name. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna say it, and we're not demons here. Yeah. So thanks. That was Papa Wemba. He died some ages ago from Congo. Was a great vocalist, and may his soul rest in peace. Yeah. So actually, thanks. We've been actually writing some really, really important stuff here that I even didn't think about. So as we go to make this manifesto, unique, it's gonna to be really, really robust. That's why sharing information and sharing idea and actually trying to change the continent where we live in, that is the ultimate idea. If we don't do it, no one is going to do it. There's no politician, there's no magic one, there's no special one that's going to change it. It's us and only us. And if we don't take that our responsibility, then we can as well just stay in the entertainment and have fun while the West continue to exploit and rip us from the bottom. Yeah. So we're just trying to do our own little best and see how we can make the things in our own continent work, own little contribution. We start now, we don't know where it's gonna take us. Yeah. So that's the Pan African Alliance.
Yes. And that's why I keep telling you, man, when it comes to that education, humanity subjects should be taken out of Africa. History and all these other subjects shouldn't be taught in Africa. We don't need them. We don't want to be talking about people history. We don't need that in Africa.
Yeah, so how do you think we're going to contain, this genesis where there's smart ones living, they're looking for the first opportunity to leave Africa. How do you think we can contain them? So what do you think? What establishment do we have to create for them to remain? Do we need to give them incentive for what's your idea?
Okay, this is the thing. there's a drain box, a drain box. A lot of educated Africans are leaving the continent, coming to Europe, right? If you see, I was talking to a Ghanaian, right, and he said there are more Ghanaian lawyers in UK than they have in Ghana. And this is crazy because these are people that's supposed to be back home working for their government and other African countries as well, but it's not happening. Why? Do you know why? Because our African government do not value their own people. They do not. You do not value your citizens. You do not pay them more, you pay them less. Most people nowadays do not believe in patriotism. They believe in making more money than what it is. That's just what it is. They believe in making more money. A few days ago, I heard Saudi Arabia was hiring more African nurses and doctors from the continent, and a lot of Africans were moving over there as medical doctors. It's not because Saudi Arabia is like really developed. It's because of the money. That's why people are moving over there. Now, Africans have to check that out. Just because you have people that are educated doesn't mean you're gonna pay them less. Once you start
Okay.
paying, once you start paying people good, people are going to stay in Africa. Once you start creating a safety environment, a psychological safety environment for Africans, they are going to stay in Africa. People are going to, people, if you start valuing your own people, people are going to stay in Africa. People are not going to travel. These are the things. You find countries that are way smaller in terms of population and landmass in Europe, in Asia, in America, but you still find a lot of Africans moving to these countries. It's not because they just liked it, it's because they think they can get more money from these countries. And if Africans started getting their acts together and paying value people, and then Africans will stay. That's just it. There's nothing way around it.
So what did you say? So if Africans start paying, what did you mean?
Paying the Africans more money, like paying
Okay,
them based
okay,
on what they
okay. Of
studied.
course, of course, of course. Yeah,
Paying
we need to value
you know,
education. So yeah,
value, a
Harry Root
medical.
boys say this. Yeah, what do you think about women being educated in Africa? Should they have access to education, or should they focus on being wives and mothers? Come on, this
No,
is
man,
22nd century.
come on. What?
Everyone needs to get education. You can still be educated and being a wife and a mother. That's got
Exactly,
nothing to do. So
exactly. You being educated doesn't stop you from being a wife or a
for
mother.
on the body, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Actually, and my little cousin, she got pregnant. She got married when she was in high school.
right,
When she was in high school, so I think when she had her GCSE or what, she was pregnant. She had her first child. She went all university as a pregnant woman, as a married woman. So
right.
before she graduated, she had maybe three kids. She was a mother and a wife and still being educated. So I don't see why people. The idea is to me for women to finish school, then start getting married. Sometimes they have some little issues, but I don't see why a woman should not get married and continue with school. They can still manage that. I've seen it, and it's beneficiary for them. Just imagine before you graduate, you're already married and you have your children. That's life. You have all your life ahead of you.
Exactly.
I think that's it's the best thing for them to do. But whatever they say, they own yourself, they own your body. But women should be educated as men as much as they want. So there's not even
Why
a
is why is
debate.
why is nobody calling in? Why is African men?
Yeah. So no, if they don't want that, it's okay. We're building this, and we have a lot of information already here, and so that's fine. Next week, I just want to finish this manifesto, then I start sharing it and giving the website, sending to people, creating the book. Next week we'll be talking about healthcare. I think that is another really, really important thing that we need to know how we're going to manage it across the PAA member states, and that would be a really, really important one as well, because we think we are still lacking in healthcare. we're not doing good at all, and it's something that we can actually manage.
But
Healthcare is going to be one of the most important factor of the PA member state. And just to remind everyone, we are doing everything as a group. It's a conglomerate. So when
right,
one thing is in one country, the other thing is in another country. So you can
and
just get from one country and fit in another one without having an issue.
and
Maybe
that
some.
and that and that's what I wanted to say, because especially when it comes to that healthcare should also be in schools. You also have to have healthcare in schools. Like, people, when they are sick, they don't have to go to the hospital. You have school hospitals.
No, I'm
That
talking
this
like a universal
I
healthcare for the
understand. Yeah,
citizen.
universal, but that was another point that I wanted to make. Like, bring hospital
Yeah,
schools should
because
also
we,
be
we,
having
we
their own
have
private,
we have
you know,
what they call what do they call the dispensaries when we're going up to
dispensary.
school.
Yeah, right,
But they
right,
don't. They're just some basics. I don't know. It's like, yeah.
right.
So they should be functioning.
They should be functioning, because if you have a medical doctor that is medical doctor for this school, right? I mean, a kid might want to be like him. You have,
Yeah. Okay. Yes. That's the part now. How the schools themselves will manage these services. But we're going to give the services. You know. Then we need the schools. We need to manage them. Of course, we need to follow them up. Make sure they actually.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so it's great, man. It's great, especially if you have this a system of education where it's the same for every African country. Because look,
of
what
course.
is studying in Nigeria should be studying in Cameroon, across Kenya and Ghana.
Mhm.
That would be great.
Because when we work like that, we can have a combined research
Ex-
institution, and that is really
exactly,
powerful. Africans don't
exactly,
have. They have
exactly.
something that's been sponsored by the EU.
Ye-
You
Yep.
understand? Just imagine all Africans country, they don't have a research actually their own. We have Institut Pasteur. Institut Pasteur is French and it's all over West Africa. And if you go, you see your labs really, really dirty and come on, they can't really. It's yeah.
But the
So
person that sponsors you tells you what to do, tells you
exactly,
you cannot be
exactly,
getting funding from the European Union, and you want to say something against them. And that's why, if you are talking about education, you have to create your own funding.
exactly. So we need all these things put together. We need to create this system from scratch. We're tired of studying. Just to feed the European market.
But
The
another
colonial
thing that
days.
Sunaija was saying is, you should be talking. Another thing should be security. Maybe you're
No,
gonna
no,
talk.
we are going. The manifesto has got so many things we're going to talk how we're going to
Oh, okay,
tackle them. Yeah.
right.
Security is one, healthcare, infrastructure, urban development,
Urban development, right,
everything. So it's, if you look at Europe across Europe is the same. I don't know about America because they do share. What
right,
happens, they have an institute that develop a model, they test it, it's work, then they share it. So one European country is not really different from the other. Maybe the
right.
language might be different. Yeah, the languages are different, but their infrastructure, their township, their way of life is really, really similar. It's because they share the same thing, and that's why they have the same standard. Even if you go to some poor European countries, they see some standard. Do you
Right.
understand what I mean? You
Right.
can still see some basic stuff. They don't left no one is being left behind. And that's the beauty of working in a group and working like a conglomerate. Africans, we are just floating, and if we don't learn, I just want to keep the African Union apart. I just want to do the PA thing so people who want to be actually, there's one guy in Togo. He is really, really guy. I think he's posting me. Say when he's giving me all the requirement to open a political party in Togo. So if I can do one in Cameroon, we can do one in Togo. We start from there. Those two countries we start collaborating our way, you know. So start meeting ourselves, just a small group, and we grow. The idea at the end of the day is to become big and swallow up all this dusty African institution that's been built. So
Exactly.
yeah, so I don't think we have any more caller. We have been here 2 hours 15 minutes. We've said a lot actually. Actually, we have said a lot, and I'm really really impressed. And thank you so much for your contribution. So, do you have anything to say?
Um, what I would say is, man, you are actually doing great in whatever you are doing, and I appreciate it. I like the way you are coming out with this manifesto right now.
it's a great thing, right? We have, it's now, I'm now realizing that maybe we have things in common, and we have the same ideology. We might have the same ideologies in common
Yeah.
as well. And I believe that things that we are discussing should prosper and become maybe a yardstick across every other African country. I wish one day we can actually have this dream of this PAA come into realities, right? Not just a myth, but a reality. So it's great, man. So there's no way I'm not gonna stop coming over here and keep, sharing my own point of view. I thank you so much, Kifau, and I want to thank everybody on your panel as well. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So that, yeah, that's it. I think once Habibi say I should cut my stream up and upload them as clips. I don't know. I don't know why. So this is an informative channel. Informative channels always take a lot of time to pick up. But if you want entertainment and does and things like that, it's gonna pick up. But we don't do that. So that's not the intention of the Pan African Alliance. So we're just talking about the Pan African Alliance. It's still quite new. I don't expect any magic, but when we get a manifesto and we start bringing people here, so stay tuned. We start interviewing a lot of people, and I'll try to do that, Rude Boy, if that's gonna help. So that's fine. Thank you very much. We don't have any callers, so I thank everyone. Uh, okay, that's fine now, baby. I get it. Oh, okay, okay, okay. I'll try to do that. Yeah. So I thank everyone for coming. Your contribution in the comment section. You know, it's been a great conversation. We've shared idea. Jude has actually enlightened us so many. Has actually enlightened us with a whole lot of information. And actually, people were surprised about Jude Stone, and they say, "Well, Jude can be intelligent." Of course, he's just a troll and he knows what he's doing. Most of the time. But yeah, you give people what they want. That's just how it works. That's fine. Abby, thanks. I'm going to try to do it. Put that in, cut that in clip, and that's it. So thank you very much. And let me just do this one more time. I'm gonna do this quote again from Walter Rodney, and it says, "Not only are African accomplices, sorry, inside the imperialist system, but every African has the responsibility to understand the system and work for its overthrow." All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, and we come to the end of the stream. I thank everyone for being part of this stream, and I wish to see you some other time. Thank you.